I have a shameless plug. I really appreciate you guys listening in some ways to my conversations about identity, but did you know that chatting isn't the only thing I do? I love to paint. And now you can have a bit of my art in your house. It also makes great gifts, by the way. So check it out at aubreyjeanart.etsy.com. That's aubreyjeanart.etsy.com. And also hit me up on Instagram at my handle, aubreyjeanart. I'd love to hear from you. Welcome to 132nd Cherokee, the podcast that explores the unexpected and who we are. I'm your host, Aubrey Jean. Today I have my family, my brother and my sister-in-law Amanda, who describes hearing about our weird family history and for the first time. She forces my brother on the podcast, so you can hear that. This episode will eventually be posted twice. My brother and I talked frankly about family members who have demonstrated bad behavior, and we love them. They aren't perfect. We know that some of our comments may cause hard feelings. So I felt really conflicted about this podcast. It is a family historical document, so how much editing makes me a revisionist, I don't know. For the sake of family peace, I will be withholding some of our dirty laundry and re-releasing this episode later. Hope you enjoy.
Oh, hey, Aubrey, can you hear me? I can hear you.
Awesome. How was that process?
Oh, it was actually really easy. My mom was sending me a picture, so I had to...
Oh, that's funny. How dare you take your mom's picture of... Yeah, you're not forgiven. For my invitation to the podcast. Take a lot. We are recording right now, and don't feel nervous. I don't know if you feel nervous.
No.
Sometimes people, when I've been recording this week, people mention they feel nervous, and I was like, honestly, I can edit out anything.
I need to edit out a lot.
Well, I mean, you are really inappropriate usually, so I'll just make sure to tailor this so it's acceptable for general audiences. First, you texted me the other day and you said, hey, I'm Greek, but I want to be on your podcast.
Yes,
yeah,
I did. Well, I was listening to your podcast and it was really good. And I told Aaron, I said, you need to be on this podcast. And he was like, not super excited. So I said, well, if you won't, I'm going to.
That's funny. He's not super excited. Well, tell me about being Greek. I remember, I think it was last year, you're like, yeah, I'm Greek. And I said, what? Like, I had no idea.
Yeah, so I am. I'm actually 1/4 Greek.
Oh, that's a lot.
Yes. So my great-grandfather was born in Greece and he came to America. And I'm not really close to that side of the family, unfortunately. I wish I was a little bit closer, and to be honest, I really don't like anything. I hate Greek food. I really wish that I was more in tune to my Greek heritage, but I do love baklava, I will say that.
Oh, okay. Well, there's something, I guess. So is there Greek heritage in your family? I mean, there's the Greek bloodline, right? Does anybody do anything that's culturally Greek?
Well, not my mom, and she became distant from her dad, so I've only met my grandfather once in my whole life. They might do stuff, but my mom and my family do not. So, unfortunately, my great-grandfather and great-grandmother were born in Greece. I don't know who's listening to the podcast, but those who have never seen me, I don't know. I've been told throughout my life that I have more European features. So I have kind of a bigger nose. I've got big dark eyebrows and dark hair, brown eyes.
Big brown eyes, yeah.
And my skin color is pretty white since living in the Pacific Northwest. But growing up, I was more tan.
Yeah, it's got kind of an olive tone.
Yes, yeah. We have kind of olive skin in my family. I didn't really know I was Greek until I was a little bit older. But since learning that, I used to be kind of embarrassed, to be honest, about a lot of my features, like just my dark hair and I have dark arm hair. And, when you're in middle school, it's just little make fun of, my nose is big and people used to make fun of that. And I didn't like it. But when my mom told me that I was Greek, it made me feel kind of, I don't know, it made me feel better about those features because I thought, there's a whole group of people who have similar features to me, whether or not I see them on a daily basis. But I don't know. I kind of had this.
Oh, yeah, that's really interesting. Like I fit in. I do fit in. Just because you people, I don't fit in with you people doesn't mean I don't fit in somewhere.
Exactly. Yeah.
So are there other things about do you have any other cultural heritages that your family does celebrate?
I would say no. Like I said, it's really unfortunate that my mom became distant from that part of her family because my grandmother, I think I'm also 1/4 Swiss.
Oh, wow.
So my grandmother's dad, I don't know if his wife also, but so my great grandfather immigrated from Switzerland to America. She was the wife of my Greek grandfather. She's, I think, half Swiss. I don't know. Her grandfather came from Switzerland, so there's that too. But unfortunately, my mom distanced us from that whole side of the family. So if there is cultural celebrations and things, I didn't grow up with any of it, unfortunately.
Well, you say unfortunately and too bad. Does that mean that there's like you wish that you did, or did you ever feel the absence of that when you were growing up?
When I was growing up, no, I didn't feel the absence of it. I, just do traditional American holidays, and
Yeah.
I never felt left out with anything because I didn't know anybody who did Swiss or holidays. But I think it's unfortunate. Just I'm a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and since being a member of this church, a lot of people do family history, and so I got on board with that. And I think, I don't know, as I started doing that, I feel like, man, I feel closer to those people, but I want to know more about them. So I would love to do, I don't know if they celebrated anything, but it would be cool to learn more and celebrate stuff that they did.
Yeah. I was a really interesting kid, and I don't know where I got this, but when I was little, okay, so this is super weird, but those McDonald's Happy Meals, and then toys would come in Happy Meals. Okay, so I feel like when I was little, the toys were a little bit cooler. I don't know if that's true, but I remember it'd be like a big treat to go to McDonald's because we were poor, right? And it was like a big deal. And then I could get toys, and I was so excited to always have toys. Anyway, so we would go to McDonald's and get Happy Meals. I was so excited to get these toys. I remember this one series of toys that they had, I think was Disney, and it had different like Daisy Duck and Donald Duck and stuff in different like cultural attire. And I don't know how much that would fly now with, everybody talking about appropriation and trying to land on where and when that is more appropriate. But, I loved it to see like the different things. And I think it came with a little card that I could read, like just a little bit of the culture written down on it, like Swedish culture or something. And then I would like go and research it, as well as the American dolls. Do you remember those?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I think they still have them. So, when I was little, I didn't ever have the actual American dolls, but I did have these paper dolls and these books or something. And then you can like put on, like these paper dolls, and you can put different clothes and stuff on them, and you can change out different cultural clothes. And so I was really excited to like learn all about these different cultures. Like, how does Sweden celebrate Christmas, and how does Denmark celebrate Christmas? And just like,
right.
I mean, a lot of them, I feel like in my mind, I remember they're pretty European, but I just love the differences from each of these cultures, like sometimes minute differences, but sometimes big differences. And it was so fascinating to me that we all had things in common. Like, a portion of the world celebrates Christmas, but they celebrate Christmas in different ways in different places. And I just love that. Like, we celebrate Christmas, but we celebrate Christmas in different ways. And so it was those cultures that were really interesting to me and really intriguing, those differences. And I kind of feel like I started collecting tidbits of differences through different cultures just because I gravitated to the fact that they were different, not the fact that they were the same. I have no idea where I got that.
No, that's awesome. And you were in China for a long time too. Were you there over any holidays?
Yeah, there was a couple of Chinese holidays that I was there. I don't even remember what they were called. I would say, to be accurate for the listeners, I was not in China for a long time. I was in China for part of 1 year. Just a few months. So yeah, there's like a national holiday that was really big, and there was a lot of people traveling during that time. And the people that I asked said it was a time that they would travel back home so a lot, I was in a bigger area in the Beijing area in other big towns that are near Beijing. And so when I was traveling, there was just like this influx of millions of people traveling as well. And they're all traveling back to their home. I don't know if it was kind of like in the Bible where Caesar Augustus did a tax decree and they all had to be like taxed and counted and stuff. So they had to go to the home of their birth. That's what it kind of felt like everyone was traveling home, but it happened every year. So the influx was a lot. And I think it was the national holiday. I'm not sure much more than that. There was another, the Harvest Moon Festival. I wish I could remember so I could be accurate on the podcast, but we ate mooncakes. That was a thing, mooncakes. And then the other like American holidays, Halloween and Thanksgiving and Christmas, because I was teaching at a school, they were really excited to have us, the teachers, present like our version or our interpretation of an American version of these things. So we had to put together a Halloween party. We invited people to come for Thanksgiving, but they're like, ugh, that's not a real holiday, which I was really sad about.
Oh,
because Thanksgiving is my favorite.
I love Thanksgiving.
Me too. It's so great because it's like cross cultures and it doesn't matter, what religion you are or what color you are, you're giving thanks and is in gratitude. I like it.
And everybody loves to eat. So
yeah, it's such good food. Yeah. Well, so Amanda, you have joined our family. You are my sister-in-law.
Yes. That's true.
And you said that it was not a shock to you that I'm talking about being Cherokee.
No. Okay. So, I wanted to talk to you earlier this week and I waited till this moment to talk about it. So,
Tell me.
It would be on your podcast. So when you sent me the link to your podcast, I just thought it was so funny because I have not heard a lot about your guys' ancestry, but Aaron told me, I think it was when we were still dating, he said that, he's like, well, I'm 1/32nd or whatever the number was. I'm 1/32nd Cherokee. And I thought, wow. Okay. And for people who don't know what the Striblings look like, they are the whitest people you will ever see. Like, Aaron is the kind of guy that he's got blonde hair, blue eyes, and he looks at the sun and gets a sunburn. So, yes. And so I thought, okay, wow, cool, fun fact. And I thought, okay, it'll end there. It's just a fun fact of his family history. But I feel like it is the only part of your family that I've heard brought up in family gatherings. Like, especially, I remember going to visit, I think it was your grandma was there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she mentioned it too at some point, but I told Aaron, I said, so what is this? Like, what is this Cherokee? Where did you hear of this? Is it in your family tree somewhere? And he said, like, he didn't really have a lot to show for it. He just said, I don't know, like, that's what we are. We're not even sure if it's 100% accurate. And I was like, well, it's kind of odd because it's the only thing you guys talk about that I know of.
So my grandma brought it up.
Yes, your grandma brought it up. She even, I think she said it as a fact, though. She was like, well, we're Cherokee. And not even 1/32nd Cherokee. She just said we're Cherokee. And so I was like, oh.
Right. Well, if I'm a 32nd, she's an 8th.
Okay,
so,
I guess that's true. Still.
And I think that's the last that you can register at the reservation. Like, that is the most diluted blood that you can have before you register with this particular reservation. But I'm not sure. I might have to fact check that.
Okay. Is she registered at the reservation?
She is registered and she's not registered with the Cherokee Nation in Oklahoma, but her papers have this Cherokee reservation in Arkansas. I can't remember exactly what it's called, but I think it's Western Arkansas tribe.
Okay. Huh, cool.
Yeah. So, it's definitely a source of pride with the family, as you know.
Yeah.
I think it's funny that we don't talk about 31 other different parts of our bloodline. This is the one that we talk about.
Right. Well, and too, like I said, I'm a quarter Greek and I don't usually bring it up, but
yeah,
I have no ties really to my Greek heritage, but so I just think it's funny, but I think it's awesome that, if that's a true fact in your family line, that's a cool thing to say, I guess.
Well, and that's another thing, like, it really is more, like, if I can bring back the Greek thing,
Mm-hmm.
I think it's interesting to me that when you heard that you were Greek, there was something inside of you, some like insecurity that you had that was settled a little bit.
Yeah, that's true.
The physical appearance thing. And so this thing was settled for you. And I don't know, maybe it clicked into place just a little bit like, phew, I have a place where I belong.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we all crave that. I know I crave that,
Mm-hmm.
There's so much to what makes a person, what makes everybody anything. There's a lot that comes with that, a lot of history, a lot of people came before us. And so when I think about myself, there's a lot of lines of people that made me. And, I like to hear that people were musicians in my line.
Mm-hmm.
I like to hear that people were writers in my line. My dad, my dad used to box, and a couple of Christmases ago, I don't know if you know this, but I gave him that book on that boxer who's called Young Stribling. And he is related to my dad. And he was boxing like 20 years before my dad was born. And he was starting to work his way up to be a pretty famous boxer before he was killed unexpectedly. But yeah, it's just really cool that this guy was in my dad's line, and he was a boxer. He was a pretty good boxer. And then my dad, did boxing in his youth as well. And I don't know, there's something about those connections that make me feel like there's something to this when we want to explore our identities.
Yeah.
And we're just craving connection to those things. And then the big question, of course, like for me is, why is it that Cherokee pops out in everybody's minds in my family? It's funny, but also like, why is that? And I feel like in in my generation, Aaron's in my generation, it's okay, because I feel like we've inherited this from other people that are still alive and still going strong. So I feel like we're just riding the wave that they've already created. But why is it that that's the thing that they come out with and talk about and are excited about? And then the second part, basically, of my exploration is, and what happens if it's not true? What would I feel if it wasn't? Like, could we do a thought experiment really quick? Okay, so you felt connected and you just felt this relief because you were Greek, and it explained the way you looked, and because you look so much different from the place that you were living, those people.
Right.
What would happen if you now find out you're not actually Greek?
I feel a little sad, to be honest. It would kind of take a little piece from me, I feel like.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would. Yeah, that's how I would describe it.
Would it color the memories of like looking back in middle school?
No. Yeah, it would definitely. Yeah, that would really stink. I don't know. I feel lied to, and that would suck.
Yes, it would suck.
Sorry, that's my bad language for this podcast. I apologize.
That's okay. Yeah, I'll edit it out because there's no cursing in this podcast. Okay. Just kidding. If you want to, you can curse all you want. I'll leave it in. Out of respect for you. Okay. So do you have any other questions or any other observations about how funny our family is?
Well, no, I'm just kidding. How much time do you have? No, I'm just kidding. No, your family's awesome. That's just really all I had to share about your Cherokee side.
Cool.
I thought it was awesome. You have a podcast on it, and yeah, I love your family. So you guys are great.
I love you too. Yeah, I was happy that you're my sister now.
Yeah.
You know what? Actually, is Aaron available?
Ooh, you know what? I bet I could grab him if you give me a second.
Hey, brother.
Hi, and talk to you.
Yeah, you're just talking on the phone to me, but it's good because I can edit things out if you feel like weird about something.
Hibachi.
Hibachi, what's that?
Oh, I just looked at a coupon and it said 20% off of hibachi and sushi.
Oh, thanks for that. That was an ad that we will not get paid for. So I've figured.
Wait, I'm getting paid?
Well, yeah, you can have 1% of what I've made.
Sweet.
I've made 15 cents.
Hey, that's a penny.
I know, right? It's crazy.
And a half.
No, 15 cents. That's 15 pennies.
0.01 penny.
It is a penny. It's literally 15 pennies.
No, but 1% of 15 pennies is like...
I'll just throw in one of them. How about that? What is the family lore as you understand it? with about being Cherokee?
My understanding is that, and I didn't know if it was mom or dad's side, was that we had Cherokee and that we had 132nd.
Yeah.
My generation.
Yeah, our generation.
Our generation. And the person that talked about it the most was grandma.
Yeah.
Even though she's kind of like, I mean, you're going to edit this, right?
Yeah.
She would also bring up that she was like 1/4 or 1/8 Cherokee.
Mm-hmm.
I think 1/8, yeah.
Yeah, she's
1/8.
1/8. I don't remember driving with her very much. I don't know where we were driving.
No. She would talk about driving past Native American reservations on the big rig.
I see. What others? Do you remember any stories or anything about?
I don't remember any stories about Native American, but I remember on the other side, Aunt Sandy thought we were related to Robert the Bruce.
Is he Scottish?
Yes, he is.
Oh.
According to the Braveheart movie, he is the one who turned over William Wallace, but ended up taking over the Scottish throne because of feeling bad for what he did. So I don't know if any of that's true, if we're actually related to them or not, but
it's fun how family lore kind of comes down through genealogies, and sometimes things are true and sometimes things aren't, but it's weird, what's made up, because you and Amanda have a kid, and so like what do you pass down to Alex, right? And what is he going to say if he has a podcast and talks about 164th Cherokee?
Oh, yeah. He is definitely going to bring up that he's Greek.
Oh.
Because Amanda is letting me know that's part of her bloodline. And then also that he's Heinz 57.
Oh.
Just a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell him he's related to like Neil Armstrong.
The
Wright brothers.
Neil Armstrong.
And... Oh, yeah, I'm just going to tell him so.
Oh, I see.
Michael Jordan.
Neil Armstrong, the Wright brothers, and Michael Jordan. It feels like people can fly.
Yep.
Eh?
So you think he can fly.
He's either going to be a basketball player to get some air, or he's going to be an astronaut.
He's going to be the first man on Mars.
Ooh, that would be exciting.
Which is becoming more of a real thing. So
I know. So all you have to do is kind of build up that family lore, instill in him his cultural heritage, and he'll be on his way.
But otherwise, like for the truth kind of situation, I don't know it well enough. And that's kind of where I'm at. I know the dad's DNA test that we do have Polish in us, and English and German. And mom's side, the Lewis family is Dutch, which apparently there was some like somebody related to royalty that played musical instrument organ for somebody.
Yeah, I remember that too. I need to look up and see that guy, because that's definitely something I've heard from mom as well. Mom and grandma.
Yeah, they always talked about my long fingers, but nobody played any music. So who knows?
Yeah, I always kind of, actually, that's the person that I was just telling a man about that I like hearing that I have musicians in my family, because that makes me feel like, yeah, that's where I got my
your knack?
my knack. Yeah. Although dad is like not in that line, and he's also pretty musical. He's just untrained.
Yeah, but he never did anything with instruments though.
No, but his voice is an instrument.
Yeah, that's true.
I did get him that guitar, which he touched probably like 5 times.
Yeah, it's sitting in his bedroom.
I know. I know. So for you, have you ever thought about getting a DNA test?
I was figuring if mom and dad both did it, I was covered.
Oh.
So this is the thing. Got to get mom one now.
Yeah. Okay.
For myself, I've been trying to think like, okay, what would it mean to me knowing my DNA makeup? And it really comes down to not a ton, which is probably bad because we should be doing genealogy and growing. But the Lewis family, like we looked up how these names came about: Stribling and Lewis and Stiltner and Ballard. I don't know. It was interesting, but it wasn't like super exciting because it made me more sad than anything else.
Did it?
Yeah.
Why?
It just wasn't. Like Stiltner were literally the people on stilts.
What were they doing on stilts?
I can't remember. Amanda makes fun of me now for it.
Wait, can I talk? I don't know.
What did you say?
This is my part of this.
Okay, I'm sorry. We went to Leavenworth, Washington, into some it probably means nothing, but we went to Leavenworth into this like hole in the wall place that said that they give you your what was it called?
Your shield, your crest, or
your
whatever.
family crest, is that what it
Oh,
is?
uh-huh.
And I don't know how accurate it was, just some strange guy we met in a shop, but he said Stiltner met people like that they were crippled or something, like on crutches, or I can't remember what it was. It probably wasn't even accurate, but of course I'm going to tease Aaron for it for the rest of my life.
It feels like a weird story that why would a whole family line be named after some guy who is walking around?
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
I mean, maybe he like was really famous and like really good humored and trucking along with those stilts, but I don't know.
He was probably a gypsy.
And he was dressing up with like long pants and walking
And it
around
turns
fairs
out
or something. Is that what you're saying?
we are related to Esmeralda.
We've all seen The Hunchback of Notre Dame.
You guys know that's fiction, right?
What?
I know.
That's interesting. That's funny.
Yeah, the only other
I've always been curious, actually, just because I don't know, because I'm curious about the DNA thing, because I know that if you get a DNA test and I get a DNA test, and though we came
they
from the
should
same
be
parents,
close.
it's quite possible that the DNA that shows up in your blood and the DNA that shows up in my blood is going to be a little bit different. So maybe I'll have a little bit more of Polish than you will. I don't know. So that kind of made me intrigued.
That's
It
true.
might cover, like, if one person, it doesn't show up in their bloodline, but it does show up in a sibling's bloodline, then it's still part of the bloodline.
Right.
So we should get more of us tested rather than less. That's what I think.
Okay. So what do you know about like the rumor that we're also related to Jesse James?
I don't know anything about that.
Okay.
But let me tell you a little bit about the Cherokee, what I know. His grandmother, his name is Sarah Catherine Wood, and she was born in the mid 1800s. And she married a Stiltner. And
Okay.
at this point, I would say rumored is the most accurate description of that, because so the documents that we have, and we do have some documents, like we have newspaper clipping of her husband and her, and they're talking about, I guess, settling like the area or something. So I'm not sure if it's newspaper clipping, like, this area was settled by these settlers. And so, it was more a clipping about the area. But in the clipping itself, I believe it talks about, like, it references her as being a Cherokee. And then there are other lines. Of course, they had more than one child. And so all of those other siblings, they have lines and stuff too. So I'm seeing in like message boards and stuff, people in those lines referring to her as Cherokee as well.
Okay.
Her name is American. We don't know how or why that is, but I'm told that is common for, especially in the eastern states, eastern tribes, to start changing. Like, some people try to integrate and they change names to make their names more American. However, her name is not on. There's two pretty important rolls. There's one that's in the East Coast. It's called the Miller roll, and then there's the Dawes roll. So when the Cherokee came out because Cherokee are from our Eastern American tribe, an East Coast tribe, and the Trail of Tears, the Cherokee moved over to Oklahoma, and so now the main part of the tribe is in Oklahoma. So during that time in the mid 1800s when that happened, there was still some portion of the tribe that was like within North Carolina and Virginia, and that's where she would have been. So now the Cherokee in the present day, they're like very influential. They have a pretty good, they have a government, and they have or I guess a governing body. I'm not sure. We'll have to fact check that. But they're just like, they're really good. They have really good records, and they have they're really well established. The thing about the Cherokee is that because they're well established, they want to make sure that, because people come, knocking on the door, like looking for handouts and stuff like that. And so they have regulations about who can be quote unquote Cherokee. And you have to have an ancestor that has been on the rolls that they collected during that period of time when they were moving out, and then a little bit afterwards when they were in Oklahoma. So that's the Dawes roll, or the Miller roll in the eastern states. So the problem that we have is that Sarah Catherine Wood is not as I can find on any of those rolls. However, Grandma, in the course of her thing, she went through and she proved, like with birth certificates and everything, the connection to Sarah Catherine Wood with Grandpa Warren. Then they found a woman named Sarah Wood on the Dawes rolls. And so using Sarah Wood from the Dawes rolls, she is now part of the Western Arkansas tribe. However, the Sarah Wood on the Dawes rolls has a different birth date, different death date, 50 years apart from the other Sarah. Different husband, different children.
Yeah, that would make sense that it's not the same person then.
That's my thought is. So I haven't talked to her about that yet. But that is kind of the question. And more so, like, what is the question as well? Like, who is Sarah Catherine Wood? It's very intriguing to me. Like, if she is Cherokee and she marries this I think he was Stilton or is German, this German man, and moves over, what's the story there? Moving across the whole, from the East Coast to the West Coast. That's kind of a cool story, probably. But I haven't been able to find any information on it.
Lived in Yakima for a decent amount of time. But when I go to Sarah Catherine Wood, her birth name that is here is Sarah Catherine Wood. Sarah Catherine Wood. Sarah Catherine with a K, Woods. So some it's Wood and some it's Woods, and some it's with a C and some it's with a K. And then there's the Sarah Catherine Woods, which don't even know where that came from.
I have to do more research. And then when I'm asking people, I'm asking Grandma and I'm asking her siblings as well, because there's so many of her siblings that are still alive. So if she can set it up, I'm just taking for granted that she's going to set it up. But just to talk to them and see what their version of it is and what it was like for them, why they chose it, over other things that they are, why does it matter to them? And then I'm going to ask them this because it's something that I struggle with. And so I'm going to ask you, what would it be like if we weren't Cherokee? What would it be like for you?
I mean, in honesty, no different than how I feel today.
Yeah.
Because I don't identify as Cherokee. It would actually surprise me more if we were Cherokee and we got on the rolls, and at 132nd, I technically could be on the rolls.
I don't think you can.
Oh, I thought 32nd was the last generation.
We're going to have to look that up because I don't know.
But I mean, that's what I would be more surprised about, actually, rather than it being.
What would it be like then if we were Cherokee, if it comes confirmed?
Oh, then I'd throw it in Amanda's face because she makes fun of me thinking that we're not.
Amanda.
But I mean, that's really it, because past this point, like Alexander, no matter what, even if we are 132nd or not, that's the last, like, I believe that's the last recognized bloodline.
Yeah.
And Amanda's side is very Greek, and that's like, yeah.
So are you going to adopt any like family practices, for integrating some Greek culture for Alex?
We have been trying to cook more Mediterranean. It seems
for
like
this
it's
purpose?
a little better. No, not for this purpose, just because it's a diet that includes a little bit more vegetables than I'm used to. But no, I mean, otherwise we are our own culture, and that's kind of what we're living right now. But heck, I can't even say, like, I don't know, maybe we're just so Americanized that we're nothing now.
That's what I want to fight. I'm okay with being American, but I don't want anybody to say American doesn't have any culture. Or I don't want, I'm okay with being European or white, and that's fine. And there's a lot of thoughts that go with that. There's a lot of nuance, but I don't want to make the mistake of thinking there's nothing rich in there. There's nothing good or interesting or intriguing in that. I want to make sure that I'm not discounting part of myself
Right. And
just
I
because
think,
it's not popular. I don't want to marginalize. Other people, but that's just in the realm of my identity, in my house, in my home, in my heart. Who am I and what makes me me, and what are the things that I've adopted from our family, what are little traditions that we had in our family that I'm going to bring into my future family.
right.
Mm.
Disconnection, I guess, is probably leaves a little bit to be desired.
Honestly, I think your disconnect is a story in itself.
Probably.
Why is it that I don't have a disconnect and you do? There's probably a story there.
Yeah.
Was it because I was older, and so I was around Grandpa Warren more, and was I around the aunts and uncles more, just listening into their conversations and just absorbing as a little kid, little tyke, what they're talking about and discussing, and maybe.
Yeah.
One 30-second Cherokee with Aubrey Jean, and with all the favors I can cash in. Produced by me, Aubrey. Executive produced by nobody, because I don't know what that means. The Anchor app by Spotify holds my hand for all the engineering. The music is also found on Anchor. You can rate and review this show on many podcast platforms someday, and you might find your review featured on a future episode. Or I might burn it in effigy. Got comments? Send me a message at anchor.fm/Aubrey-Jean. That's anchor.fm/Aubrey-Jean.